Hey, welcome back to Mr. Levy's math room. Now, last class we looked at multiplying a fraction by a fraction. So let us recap and see if we remember what to do. So here we have 2/3 times a quarter times 3/5. Now, we say we can do it one of two ways. We can either multiply the numerators across or we can do a cancellation. Now remember in our last session, I said it is always advisable, well I advise that we do our cancellation instead of multiplying across. However, you can multiply across if you wish, alright? So let's go ahead and do that so we can do a cancellation. So we look at we look at common factors. We look at what is common, the common factors in the numerator as well as the denominator so we can cancel. Alright, so we have 3, we can cancel the 3, so 3 into 3 is 1, 3 into 3 is 1, so the 3 is cancelled. We have 2 and 4, so 2 into 2 is 1, 2 into 4 is 2. There's nothing else that's common, so we say this is equal to 1 times 1 is 1, times 1 is 1, that's 1 over 1 times 5, 2 is 2, 2 times 5 is 10. So our answer is 1/10. Alright? Now let's hop across here and we have 4/7 times 7/8 times 3/4. Now let us see if we have anything common in the numerator and denominators. So the 7's are common. Alright, so the 7's cancel each other. 7 to 7 is 1, 7 into 7 is 1. Alright? Then we look, we have 4, 4 and 8, 4 can go into 8, right? So this is the factor, so 4 to 4 is 1, 4 into 8 is 2. Nothing else is common there, so we say 1 times 1 is 1 and 1 times 3 is equal to 3, and then we say 1 times 2 is 2, 2 times 4 is 8. So our result is 3/8. So let me just put that over here, so that's equal to 3/8. Good? Now what we are going to be looking at today is dividing fractions. Now I hope you have been practicing, you have to practice. So you are going to find problems that have multiplication of fractions and you do your own practice, alright? The more you practice, the better you become at it. Okay? Alright, so what we are going to be looking at is dividing fractions. So first of all, we look at dividing a fraction by a whole number or a whole number by a fraction. Now let's say we have 5 times 1/5. Right? Now, what we do when we are, not times, divided by. Now, what we do here, we take the reciprocal. We are going to change the sign, change the division sign to multiplication, and we take the reciprocal of this 1/5. Alright? Now what is reciprocal? And what does reciprocal mean? Now the reciprocal of a number, alright, is the product of a number or the product of a number and its reciprocal is equal to 1. So the product of a number and its reciprocal is equal to 1. So before we get to this, just let's look at this. So if I have 5, the reciprocal, so it's recip, R-E-C-I-P-R-O-C-A-L. Right? So the reciprocal of 5 is equal to 1 over 5. Right? So the reciprocal of a whole number is 1 over the number. Alright, so if we have 6, then the reciprocal of 6 is 1 over 6. If we have 4, the reciprocal of 4 is 1 over 4. If we have 3, the reciprocal of 3 is 1 over 3. Alright? Okay, so let's say if we have fractions, so let's say we have 1/2, the reciprocal of 1/2 is equal to 2, alright, or 2 over 1. Good, so we say our 2 over 1. 2 over 1 is equal to 2. So what we actually do here is we flip the number. Alright, so we exchange the numerator for the denominator and the denominator for the numerator. Alright, now if we have 2/3, the reciprocal of 2/3 is equal to 3 over 2. Alright, so notice what we have done is we have flipped the number, right, or the fraction. So if we have say 4/5, the reciprocal of 4/5 is 5 over 4. Alright? And remember now the reciprocal of a whole number is 1 over the number. Okay? Now let's say if we had say 1/3, the reciprocal of 1/3 would be equal to 3 over 1. Alright? 3 over 1 is equal to 3. Alright? If we have 1/8, the reciprocal of 1/8 is 8 over 1, which is equal to 8. Alright? So just remember that the reciprocal of a number, the reciprocal of a is equal to the product of a number, and its reciprocal is equal to 1. Alright? So if I multiply these two numbers together, it's going to result in 1. Right? So if I say 1 times 3 is equal to 3, and 3 times 1 is equal to 3. Right? If I do the same thing here, 1 times 8 is equal to 8, and 8 times 1 is equal to 8. 3 into 3 is 1, 3 into 3 is 1, that's equal to 1. 8 into 8 is 1, 8 into 8 is 1, that's equal to 1. Alright? So if I have, say, 3/5 times 5 over 3, right? Notice this is the reciprocal of that, or this is the reciprocal of this. Alright, so we have 3 times 15 over 3 times 15. 15 into 15 is 1, that's equal to 1. Alright? Okay. So, just remember now, so we invert, if it's a fraction, we invert the fraction to get its reciprocal. Alright? If it's a whole number, we simply put the whole number, we put 1 over the number. Alright? So if it's a whole number, so 5, it should be 1 over 5. Alright? For the reciprocal. Good? Okay. Now let's take 5 divided by 1/5. So this will give us 5 times, so we are changing the division to multiplication, and then we take the reciprocal of 1/5, which will be equal to 5 over 1. Now, I could write 5 as a fraction as 5 over 1, and it does not change the value of the number. Okay? So, we can now multiply across. So, 5 times 5 is 25 over 1, which is equal to 25. Alright? Good? Now, let's say, so we have 6 divided by 2/3. So now, we are going to change the sign and flip. Alright? So we keep this, change and flip. So we say keep, change, flip. Alright? So we keep the 6, we change the sign from division to multiplication, and we flip the fraction that will give us 3 over 2. So we keep, change and flip. Alright? Now as I said before, we can write our whole number as a fraction by putting it over 1. So we can multiply across, or we can cancel in this case. Right? So we can say 2 into 2 is 1, 2 into 6 is 3. So 3 times 3 is equal to 9. 1 times 1 is 1. That's equal to 9. Alright? Well, let's look at 4 divided by 1/3. Okay? So again, we keep, change, and flip. So keep the 4, change the division sign to multiplication, and we flip the fraction. Alright? So we take the reciprocal. So we now have 4 over 1 times 3 over 1. Alright? If you multiply those across, we get 4 times 3 is 12. 1 times 1 is 1. 12 divided by 1 is 12. So any number divided by 1 is equal to the number. Alright? So we have, let's now look at, I think this is now clear. So let's do one more, then we can go to dividing a fraction by a fraction. So if we take 6, no, let's not use 6, we use 6 already. Let's take 7 divided by 2/3. Right? So again, so we keep, change and flip. So we keep the first number, so that's 7, let's put that over 1, times, we change the division to multiplication, and we flip the fraction here. So that gives us 3/2. Then in this case, we have no common factors between the numerators and the denominator, so we are going to multiply across. So 7 times 3 is 21, 1 times 2 is 2. Then we can now simplify that. So we can divide 21 by 2. 2 to 21 is what? 10 and a half. Alright? That's 10 and a half. Okay, now let's do one more. If we have, let's erase this. So let's say we have 11 divided by 3/5. Alright? So again, we keep the 11, put that over 1, times, we change the division sign to multiplication, and then we are going to flip this fraction here. Alright? So we're going to write 5/3. Multiply across, notice we have no common factors between numerators and denominators, so we are going to multiply across. Alright? So 11 times 5 is 55, divided by 1 times 3 is 3. Now we are going to do 55 divided by 3 is equal to what? 3 into 5 is what? 1, remainder 2, 3 to 25 is 8, 3 is 24, so that's 18 and 1/3. Alright, so 18 and 1/3. Okay, now we can move on. Let's go to dividing a fraction by a fraction. Alright? Now, if you have any questions, you can always post them and I will answer them for you. Alright, now let's look at dividing a fraction by a fraction. So we have, let's say we have 3/4 divided by 1/4. Alright? So we follow the same procedure as we did before. So we are going to keep the first fraction, change the sign, flip the second fraction. No? So keep the first, change the sign, flip the second. Alright? So we now have 3/4 times 4/1. Now we look to see if we have any common factors. 4 and 4, they are common, so we can cancel. So 4 to 4 is 1, 4 to 4 is 1, 3 times 1 is 3, and 1 times 1 is 1, 3 divided by 1 is 3. Alright? If you had multiplied across, you'd have gotten 3 times 4, 12, 12 divided by 4 times 1 is 4, and 12 divided by 4 is 3. Alright? Let's do another one. So we have 5/9 divided by 2/3. 2/3. Alright, so again we keep this first. So that's 5/9. Change the sign. So keep, change, flip. Alright? So that's KCF. So KCF, not KFC. So KCF. Keep, change, flip. Right? Just remember that. Keep, change, flip. Keep the first, change the sign, keep the second. Alright? So we now have times 3/2. Now let's see if there's anything common that we can, any common factors. Right? So we have 3 and 9. 3 into 3 is 1, 3 into 9 is 3. So it's a 5 times 1 is equal to 5. 3 2 is 6. So that's 5/6. Alright? Then let's do 3/5 divided by 1/10. 3/5 divided by 1/10. Alright? So again we keep, change, flip. Alright? So keep, change, and flip. So we keep the first, that's 3/5, times, so we change the sign, 10 over 1. Alright? So we have common factors, 5 and 10. 5 into 5 is 1, 5 into 10 is 2, 3 2s, 6 over 1, 6 divided by 1 is 6. Alright? Okay, now let's do one more and then I encourage you to go and you practice some on your own. Alright? So remember, when you're dividing a fraction by a fraction, or even a whole number by a fraction, you keep the first, change the sign, and you flip the second fraction. Right? So even if the first, okay, let's do this. So if this is a fraction, so 1/5 divided by 10. Right? So we have 1/5 divided by 10. So we keep, change, and flip. So that's equal to 1/5 times what? 1 over, and this would be 10 over 1. So it will now become 1 over 10. Alright? So all whole numbers can be written as a fraction as the whole number over 1. Now see, when you take the reciprocal of the whole number, you're going to get 1 over the number, right? So the reciprocal of a whole number is 1 over the number. Good? And then that would be what? 1 times 1 is 1 over 5 times 10 is 50. Good? Alright. Okay, so I'll leave it there for today. If there are any questions, you can always put them in the comment section and I will answer them for you. And as usual, I encourage you to practice, 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 practice. And practice makes perfect, right? And I assure you, you will do well at math. Alright, and as usual, just continue to subscribe to my channel, like, and leave a comment. Alright, so see you next time. Blessings.